What's going on, YouTube motorcycle friends? It's been a while since my last video, but it is way too cold and too much snow to ride around here in the Northeast. However, today's a special day because I just got this nice Yoshimura AT2 exhaust for my GSX-S750z. We're going to bolt this on and see how it sounds. I wish I could do some sound tests while I'm riding around, but that'll have to wait until the spring. So there's not a lot to talk about this exhaust. It's a very pretty looking exhaust. That's funny, pretty for an exhaust. However, it has some like carbon fiber here and some faux carbon fiber here, and it just looks really nice, and I think it'll look great on the bike. So why don't we go out to the garage, bolt this on, and do some sound tests in the driveway. Let's go. All right, so let's first just listen to this Shorty GP exhaust that I had put on there over the summer. I really liked it. It's sounds great. It's a little bit loud. I'm not going to do a review of the stock exhaust because there's a million out there and it's not so great. But here's the Shorty exhaust that I'm going to take off. I'm ready to take off the old exhaust. A few tools that you should make sure that you have with you. One is this 6mm hex wrench. That's to take off the part that's going to hold the exhaust next to the foot peg. You should have a 12mm wrench, a 10mm wrench. I've got a 10mm socket and another 10mm socket because I just don't know which one I'm going to use, but it seems like just the 10mm wrench is going to be enough. You also need to have make sure that you have the spring that they gave you with the exhaust and this spring puller, this tension, so you can pull the spring and attach it to the exhaust where it needs to go. And they also give you this ring clamp. This is the 10mm bolt that you will need to tighten. So we're going to take off this exhaust. I've already loosened it. This is the old GP exhaust. I had the baffle in there just to cut down on the sound, but it was really cool. It did sound pretty good. So I'm going to move the camera and start putting on the new exhaust. All right, so now here's a couple of tips when you're putting on the exhaust. This part of the exhaust here, this can come off, and you can install this part first on the bike, and then you can get it twisted and adjusted in the direction that you think it needs to go. That is a big help. Also, make sure that before you put this pipe on, you put your clamp on to the pipe so that you can make your adjustments later. I'm not exactly sure how I want to put the clamp up like this and bolt it, or down on the bottom. I'm not sure. Probably down on the bottom looks better. So let's switch this around like this. There we go. All right, so you want to make sure that this is kind of in the direction that you think the exhaust will fit. The other thing that I did notice about the exhaust, I see that it doesn't fit on the front here. It actually has to go on the back side. So if you're trying to wedge it this way, you won't be able to. It needs to go back there. So that being said, you just slide this part onto the exhaust. Make sure it goes all the way down, and you make sure it comes up behind this piece, and you have to do some adjustment. So I'm going to, let's see. That looks pretty good right there. Super simple. Then you need to take, this is the 6mm hex key bolt that will go through here. And this is the back side. That's the one that you need the 12mm wrench to hold the back side of the bolt. Now I'm not going to tighten everything down yet. It's always a good idea to wait till you're all the way done with all your adjustments before you tighten everything down. Looking at it from the back, it looks pretty good. It clears the swing arm and everything is on all the way and snug. The other thing that I need to now do is find the little spring, this little spring here. And this is going to clamp on the bottom. There's two spots for it. One on the exhaust itself and one on the pipe coming out of the exhaust. And then you just grab it with this little puller and you pull it, you clip it on. As simple as that. So the install here is like super simple, right? You got one bolt here, the little spring that holds it together will provide some tension there, and that's it. Clears the swing arm nicely. It's very close, but it clears. And I'm going to get it tightened down, and we'll go outside and listen to it. Oh, before I start it up, I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol and rub it all down and get any of my greasy fingerprints off there so they don't actually burn into the finish once it gets hot. So I'm going to get this tightened down and I'll meet you outside and we'll see what it sounds like. Together very nicely. Everything's tight. I used some rubbing alcohol to just make sure there was no grease or my fingerprints or any dirt on the exhaust before I started up. So I'm very excited to hear it. Let's check this out. Well, right from the start I could tell it has a much deeper, a more bassy kind of note to it while it's idling. Sounds really good. Let's rev it up. Well, good Lord, that sounds really good. I can't wait to hear this thing on the road. Unfortunately, it's a little too, the roads are kind of crappy around here, full of some salt and ice, so I'm not going to risk it. But as soon as it gets a little warmer out, we're going to take this out on the road and do a sound test. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you're thinking about getting a Yoshimura AT2 for your bike, I would suggest it. Sounds good, easy to install, looks really good. So that's all for now. Hopefully I will see you out on the road.